Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Anudeep Durishetty, Shruti Sharma, and 𝐒𝐻𝐫𝐞𝐨.
Is it audible at the back now? Some people still cannot hear. मैं बोल रहा हूँ लेकिन आप सुन नहीं पा रहे हैं. Wonderful. So I said that for any reason, if you need to leave this class before 1 hour or something, then this is a good time to leave. All right. But if you decide to stick around through the class, the doors will be closed. So those of you who have any other thing to do in the next 1 hour, because some of you may have some classes or something going on elsewhere, or any other prior commitments till 9:30, then it is better to leave right now so that we do not disturb the flow of the class in the middle of it. All right? Wonderful. So how have you all been? And how's the Josh? It should be high, especially after the UPSC notification. Yeah. These are the kind of news people want to hear now. Everybody is... See, before this notification of the UPSC with respect to postponement of the exam came, a lot of people who were earlier thinking, okay, this time I have not prepared well enough. If I got a little bit more time, the same people are sending a mail, should I start my optional? It's the same people, exactly the same set. Right, the people who felt, sir, this time I just started late, it was a blunder I made. If I just got more time, in the same mail chain, sir, the postponement has come, and therefore, do you think I can start optional side by side? All right, you'll see the mail chains, you compare them, you compare the data, you will get all the answers. So, first thing is that you have gotten a wonderful opportunity, that the prelims has been postponed by how many weeks? 3 weeks. So now the problem with this 3 weeks is that it is not too much of a gap so as to do something extra. It's not so much extra that you can do something, and it's not too less so as to be ignored also. That's a big challenge for all of us. So what to do with this new update that has come? Now this will depend on who you are and what is your current position with respect to the prelims examination. All right. See, one of the traits that is needed to clear this examination is having a lot of clarity with what you have to do, having a fixed plan, and then sticking to the plan like anything else. So you will have to stick to the plan. Whatever you have thought about in achieving till 26th May, now you have more time for it. You have time till 16 June. You have time till 16 June to achieve that. If this date postponement has come, it does not mean that you have too much of a time or you have the luxury of time to do something else. And again, whether you have to do it or not will depend on few things. So first, take it from me that with respect to the postponement, this will depend whether you should study any other thing or not. If you have given 3 attempts plus without clearing prelims, then you are the one who is most likely to be getting new ideas about strategy change, right? Now 23 weeks. Yeah, so if you have written 3 attempts or more, and if you have not been able to clear the prelims, you should not have any doubt. Chances are that you have made such decisions in the past where you have deprioritized your prelims at the first sign of trouble, including any sort of discomfort, uneasiness, or not getting the right confidence. All right. So therefore, if any of you with 3 attempts plus are having any doubt, should I prepare for prelims? Otherwise, I'll flunk in the mains exam. The choice has to be very clear. You should only and only focus on the prelims, no matter what has been the position. Now, one of the things that most people are saying these days is, and nearly everyone, is that, sir, last year I have been able to clear GS cutoff and they're quoting very high marks. Then I said, why you're not writing the mains? Then they say, sir, it was CSAT which got me into trouble. So now because everybody has the CSAT excuse, so just better to be safe than to be sorry. Please, if you have not cleared the prelims before, for any reason whatsoever, and if you have exceeded the 3-attempt limit, you only focus on the prelims examination. There cannot be any diversion. We all know that you all love to study political science and philosophy and sociology and anthropology. Everybody loves to study that. At least it gives you the illusion of knowledge. Everybody thinks you are very knowledgeable, and you are able to study for extended hours also, because those subjects have some depth. And it gives you some illusion with respect to your wisdom. And you also cross your own checklist when parents ask you, are you studying? Now it becomes easy because you're saying, yes, I've been studying. Though they will ask you what you are studying, you will say again, political science. Right? So it's easy to study those subjects, which is why you will end up studying them. See, one of the problems, what happens is a lot of students when they come to us, or for example, this year, out of the odd, more than 24 around students who have gotten for the interview call, 1900 students are there from Forum till the last week. All right. And I can tell you that when I'm meeting the students, those of the students who have taken undue time, those who have taken a lot of time, for example, they've reached the 4th attempt, 5th attempt, 6th attempt, I generally ask them that what took you so long, you're getting your first interview call after some time. The one thing which I think is that what I have observed is that this year at least 1,000 plus students are from SFG, 1,000 plus. When I'm seeing them, because we have all the data now, so when they come for the interview, I get to know, and I'm very delighted to, and approximately 10 students from Hindi medium are from SFG, who have come for the interview at Forum so far. 10 students, that's a very good number according to me. Right, and nearly 1,000 students otherwise are. So they end up saying that, sir, I was trying to study on my own and I had probably not done a foundation course or something. So first initial attempts I wasted, or I did not fully understand. Now what happens is that there is no problem in not doing a foundation and doing things by way of self-study. There are hundreds of students who have cleared this exam by doing self-study. But the problem there you realize is then what is the exact problem that you had? And now the student at the stage of the interview will say with all the honesty and the experience of hindsight, he will say, sir, I only studied. I said it's possible to clear the exam by self-study. What took you so long? It's not necessarily to do a full foundation course. He said, sir, the problem was I only studied the subjects that I liked. Right? I only studied the subjects that I liked. That is the mistake I made. The subjects that I did not like, I did not study at all. I was doing self-study. For 3 years, I have not studied subjects that I did not like. All right, so here, now that's a lesson for all of us here at this stage of the prelims exam. That with people with 3 attempts or more who have not written the mains examination, you can draw a lesson and you can clearly identify that it's not that you have not been studying. It is not possible to not study and write 3 civil services exam unless you are a seasonal aspirant, which means that 3 months before the exam you get activated and 2 days after the prelims, you are doing something else. Then again, 3 months before the exam, you get activated and then but I don't think that anybody sitting here would be a seasonal aspirant. I think you'd be pretty committed to the cause. Otherwise, it would be difficult to, come from so far and write a test at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's not possible. If you have this commitment, probably you're not a seasonal aspirant. So then what happens is why we have reached here is because we have been studying things that are easy, the things that interest us, and therefore we don't read the things that do not interest us, and that is when we will end up with 3 attempts or 4 attempts plus. All right, now anybody who is less than 2 attempts, so for example, if you have given 1 to 2 attempts at the prelims exam, what should you do? All right, if you have given 1 to 2 attempts, this will completely depend on how was your performance in the previous prelims. Again, I will treat people with 1 or 2 attempts at prelims, but may not have cleared the prelims, a little more kindly and with more reliability than 3+ attempts. That is because success and failure at prelims is not just about studying, it's about decision making, the kind of decisions and the choices you have made. All right, the kind of decisions and choices that you have made. Just day before, today is Friday, right? I think on Tuesday or Wednesday, I met one of my very old foundation students. So what happened is, she was appearing for the. So what happened is, I recalled sometime in around 21, CSE 2021, I had an old classmate of mine from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. She had joined my foundation program because she had heard some good things. So what happened is, she cleared the exam, and she cleared the exam in the very first attempt. So I was a little happy, but I wanted to ask her that what worked for her. You did not take a single attempt. So when I was doing my master's, I was at the fag end of my 30s, and she was at the, she was a 21, 22-year-old. So after 7, 8 years, I see a old classmate saying that I want to join the Indian Administrative Service. So I've heard something, so I want to come to Forum. So I asked what worked for her, given that it generally takes most people, if not everyone, generally takes most people more than one attempt, even if they're. So among several things that she shared with me, and she got her home cadre also, and she joined Jharkhand cadre. So she said one of the things that happened, and I had two favorite students in that class. One was her and there was another person. So this, I asked her, what worked for you? He said, Ayush, that year what had happened is that because of COVID, the prelims had got delayed. So I think I got a bit of extra time and I was able to work on myself. That I think I got an advantage. I quoted her example, I think in the last session also, where I asked her that, did you do any compilation? So she said, no, I was not very much connected. I simply used to mind my own business. So I was not aware that there are other compilations in the market. I did not used to visit the market. It was my first attempt. And Forum had given too much material. The princess classes were also accumulating given the extended period for which, and if you remember, that year, during the COVID year, COVID was going on one side and the government was bringing new changes every day. Right, from Article 370 to everything. So therefore, the syllabus size was increasing for current affairs. Right, so she said, I did not even have the time to find out what material, whatever was done, and it was adequate. I was able to clear it, and I got my home cadre, and I got Indian Administrative Service. So which means I don't have to write the exam again. Now, another favorite student of mine, she was not writing the main, so I asked her what happened, what went wrong, and she said something which I think you can again benefit from her words. And she said, sir, actually the prelims got extended because of COVID reasons. I think that is when I lost my focus, and that is why I was not able to clear the prelims. Now I want to tell you that this extension that all of you have gotten, we are sitting in 2024. Next year, there will be hundreds of students who will say that I was able to clear this CSE 2024 only because 3 weeks ka time I got, I was able to increase my preparation for the prelims. And there will be hundreds, not hundreds, thousands of students who will say, sir, because of these 3 weeks, my whole plan got derailed. My whole plan got derailed and I lost focus, and then I added some more new material in the last month, and therefore that is the reason I did not clear it. All right. So make sure that you have gotten an opportunity. Some people have an uncanny habit or trait of turning every opportunity into a disaster. You tell him opportunity is knocking at the door. The guy says, but I was sleeping, sir. I had told them I don't wake up before 7 a.m. How come opportunity knock at my door? I say it's opportunity. You open the door, you make progress in life. He says that is all right, but it's not my time. Usko bolo 10 o'clock ke baad aana. Right? And no need to hit the door so hard. I have a call bell. So that is how most people will react to opportunities knocking at the door, complaining of the noise. Sir, the opportunity is making too much noise. Why does it beat my door? Why doesn't it ring the call bell? So some of you will be like that at some phase of your life, and this may be one of those bad phases of your life where an opportunity is knocking at the door, you are complaining of the noise. Some people will have felt कि बताओ 3 weeks delay हो गया, कुछ बच्चे अलग परेशान हैं, अब 3 हफ्ते और पढ़ना पड़ेगा. कुछ बच्चों का प्लान बिल्कुल सेट है 3 हफ्ते अब और पढ़ना पड़ेगा। पहले क्या था, प्रीलिम्स करते, उसके बाद छुट्टी हो जाती मेरी। अभी क्या है, 3 weeks more is there now, parents will call more and more. So please make good use of this opportunity. And thankfully, remember why it is such an important thing is, I told you about I had 2 favorite students whom I knew. And that is the second favorite student. I'm meeting her this Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm not able to recall. I met her for the interview. She will clear it. She is very sorted this year. We are expecting a very good rank from her. All right, so she will clear this exam this year because now she is well sorted and she has gotten a lot of time again to prepare for the interview. Her interview is also on the last days, as in 9th April is the last day of the interview of civil services. And she's gotten it around this time. So she's gotten like 3-4 months to prepare for the interview also. All right, so she'll clear it. But do you understand that from 2021 to 2024, you miss an opportunity, then the second time the opportunity, the paper that is aligned as per your preparation, all the stars to align, everything to align, it'll take time. All right, और आपकी बुद्धि भी सही होनी चाहिए. You also have to have the fertility of the mind to fully understand the gravity of the situation, isn't it? So therefore, those of you who are having 1 or 2 attempts, again, if you have this feeling that you cleared the or were nearly clearing the prelims cutoff, and you probably did not do well in CSAT, you can take some leeway with respect to studying anything apart from prelims. All right. And with 1 or 2 attempts, those who are and these people are the ones who have nearly cleared the GS last time. What is the measure of that? The measure is not what you think, what you feel, because the scorecard is not out yet. All right, with respect to, but a good test of whether you just missed it is your SFG performance. Those who just missed the cutoff, because everybody who comes to me will say, sir, I just missed the GS cutoff, or maybe I cleared the GS cutoff, but it was CSAT which prevented me from writing the prelims exam. So how do I know whether they are telling the truth or they are telling lies? It may not be that they may be telling lies. It may be that this is what they are telling themselves. The numbers will be very different when the result comes, but this is what we may be telling ourselves. So one measure of such candidates is that they will be doing nearly fine in SFG. I don't expect them to get a 1 rank or 2 ranks, nothing like that. What I'm expecting is that sometimes they are in SFG, sometimes they are in RLG, and they are not going outside generally 200 ranks. All right, it means that you are on the track. If you are sometimes, at least few times you have come in SFG, otherwise you've been, or you are always there in SFG. Anybody who has always been there in SFG group? Very good. You'll have to share the secret of your success. That's a good achievement. All right, but if you're switching between them, which also means from my perspective, I appreciate such students. Anybody who's been switching between these two? Good enough. इसका मतलब है कि you are fighting your best. इसका मतलब है कि you are struggling. How are you managing to do it? What makes you move from RLG to SFG? You are practicing more. I have done? I have not missed any test of SFG. So when somebody is moving and switching between them, I am very relieved because I know that he's fighting out. And people who are in RLG but always, every day, they are not able to improve, or there is no fluctuation, which means it's a downhill journey. It means you are losing the battle somehow. And the reason for that is not with respect to studies, it's because here what you're thinking. Because see, this program, it is very difficult to survive if you're constantly losing out. All right, it is very difficult to survive, have the motivation to come every day if you are seeing that I'm not able to perform. And how you will perform is you have to see other people. So today I had to rush to, I had to speed myself to reach here on time, and I reached before time, if you have observed. Now, one of the ways, how do you, now, the person who was driving the car was fairly new. So I knew that either I'll reach here or I'll reach Gangara. But this was there. All right, I was clear about it, that I'll reach here. So now he was trying to zigzag through and trying to speed up and trying to overtake some few vehicles. Now what is, if somebody does not fully understand the dynamics of driving in Delhi, what is the one good piece of advice you can give him if he really wants to get through the traffic? What is one simple thing that you could tell him is that please don't try to overtake other cars, you just do one thing. You find the one car that is moving very fast and just follow it. You try to watch and observe this the next time you are traveling. Whether you're driving a bike or a vehicle, if you see an ambulance which is driving very fast, what do? You just follow the ambulance. It will make way. It will have flashed all the lights and blowed all the sirens that are needed to clear the road. Then the road will be clear, it will be going fast, and you can simply follow it, maintaining a safe distance, and you will probably also increase your speed. Otherwise, you will have to do all the negotiations yourself, giving an indicator, blowing a horn, stuff like that, right? This is exactly what I want all of you to do. No, I don't mean driving. All right. What I mean is that in the next days, if you have any doubt with respect to karna kya hai, with respect to what you have to do, because most of you will be, again, as I've told you before, and I observed myself in the past 10, 15 years or so, is that you will be more guided by your peers than by your teachers. Teachers, any advice, it will come here and it will go out from here. Parents, good advice will come here, ऊपर से इधर. And friends की कूड़ा advice एकदम stick कर जाएगी. जैसे कुछ बच्चों को already, if some people may have given advice कि अब तो exam postponed है, सुबह क्यों जा रहे हो? सुबह चलेंगे छोले भटूरे खाने. Right, some people already done that. I would know that at least 10% people would have. The minute it was told that the exam will be postponed by 3 weeks, 1-2 roommates must have advised, and some people must have thought कि अब सुबह उठने का क्या जरूरत? अब देखेंगे, है ना? अभी मार्च चल रहा है, अब अप्रैल के बाद देखेंगे. Right, some people. So this, in the coming days, if you are not able to make improvement the way you want it to do, you just see what your friends who are doing well are doing. The ones who are struggling, the ones who are switching, you don't have to look at the rank 1 or something. I can tell you that rank 1, 2, not 3 I cannot say, but rank 1, 2, 4. She was all the time in my class, so I know her very well. So therefore, you will see that it's not like they're always rank 1 or something, or they're top performing, but you will see that somehow they will be switching between SFG and RLG, and that marks a good thing for me, because what they are doing is whatever energy they have, they are putting that energy in the test, they are able to improve, then they get a little tired or complacent, whatever it could be. You sometimes stop or slow down. Why? Because either you are tired or you are complacent. You will have a day of complacency. Aaj number aa gaye, you are getting a 22nd rank, now you are sorted. Seedhe agle din 432. Right, the minute. So that is how the program is designed, so that you are on your toes. And when you are on your toes, you will start doing well. All right, so if you have to take input from someone, please, because I see this typically, some people, somebody who's having a certain rank, he's taking advice from somebody who has the bottommost rank. Ye nahi karna hai. I'm not saying that there is any problem with that advice. I'm saying that the person who's switching from SFG to RLG and struggling, what he's doing now, he is able to do it because he has done those negotiations with himself. Every day he will have a doubt whether to write the test or not. Every day he will have a doubt whether to do optional GS mains or prelims. Every day he will have a doubt whether to study for the test or revise the old things. And what after thinking, see, the thinking will either take you towards clarity, or sometimes it will madden you, right? So now the person who's performing is the one is having one advantage over you. Your judgment is clouded and his judgment is clear. So that is why once the decision is easy, once you are having that clarity about what to do, implementation becomes a lot easy. But every day after writing the test, if you have to make a decision, then you are gone, half day is gone thinking ki karna kya hai. Right? So therefore you follow those people. Why I'm saying this is because they have done those negotiations. Every day you may be negotiating with yourself, your body, whether to rise or not. आज जाए या सो जाए या कुछ ऑनलाइन कर दें या कुछ स्कैम कर लें कुछ, या घर मार्केट से पेपर लगा, 10 तरह के कुबुद्धि आपको आती रहती होगी सुबह सुबह. Born out of pure laziness, your body trying to conserve a few calories, right, by coming here and applying that brain. So therefore you follow the people who are doing well. They have made those negotiations, they have dealt with those questions, they have spent enough number of hours. And just like the ambulance or the fast moving vehicle, It knows which vehicle will give a pass, which vehicle will not give a pass. He has done the negotiation that I will otherwise have to make. So therefore, if I follow him, I know that at least I will reach here. Then maybe that vehicle will go somewhere. Then I will follow the next vehicle which is rushing through. I know he has made the negotiations. He knows which vehicle will give him pass, which vehicle, which lane to take. So therefore, you will do this. So for example, once the prelims is over, you will not chase the same person. You will now chase or look for somebody who is doing well in the mains examination. Otherwise, some people after clearing the prelims, they will get into celebratory firing mode. कि अब तो घर में परिवार में सबको बता देना कि आईएएस बन गए हैं, क्यों प्रीलिम्स निकल गया है. Setting the bar so low that you don't even have to jump. Right? So therefore now you start following them, then you are also gone. So now you have to see, so you always, your role models may keep changing. And I'm not saying that they should be role models, they could be competitors. Some students, when they clear this, so you'll ask them at the end of how did you clear the prelims after their final selection. So they'll say, sir, there was one user ID, that ID was very unique. So I saw it and he or she was performing very well. So I was benchmarking my performance. I was not seeing the rank list. I was benchmarking my performance as per that user ID or that name. कि उसका इतना आया और मेरा, and when I was very happy when I was able to beat him or her. So I'm telling you, you keep such IDs. ऐसे एक दो दुश्मन बनाओ लिस्ट में, real life में नहीं. You have such people, such competitors with such user IDs. You keep them and make sure that you're chasing them. All right. Now another question that some students have asked कि now what else is to be done? So देखो एक चीज क्या होगा ना कि so some time back what happened is I had one teacher, one of my old teachers come to see me in forum. So I was very happy. He asked, so he came all the way from metro station to the institute. So and I was very happy to see him. So he asked, I said, sir, we are having very good results. I was very excited and I told him, sir, we are having very good results. But his face was not very satisfied. So he said, ये सब तो ठीक है, but I had to call you 2 times to find ForumIAS. मतलब मुझे दिखा नहीं कहीं पर. है ना? So I said, sir, because we are probably not investing in any sort of marketing. We have started something, but that's not how we feel. We don't feel very strongly about it. So he said to me, if you are not going to do that, then you won't last very long here. Because coming here, I saw at least a certain institute, 5 buildings, some of them empty also. Right? But the building was having a certain brand. I saw some institutes have 3 buildings and at least whole advertising, I saw pictures of, at least certain coaching at least 5, 6, 7 times. And I was coming all the way from via New Rajendra Nagar to Old Rajendra Nagar. So, but I did not see forum ever. I said, no, sir, we are trying a little bit. It's not like. They said, no, but you're not visible. So he said that it will not be long before some big coachings. And I said, sir, we are making the students. So abhi kya kar rahe the? I said, sir, we are making students write the test at 7 o'clock. Sir, this year I think 1,000 plus students who are in the final interview, they are from SFG program. Last year also we had, in top 5 itself, we had around 2 or 3 students from SFG. Not an easy task given that maybe, abhi SFG में कितने बच्चे test लिख रहे हैं? अच्छा, that is 4,000. Last year कितने थे? किसी को idea है? But okay, so this may be, all right. So I said, sir, 2,000 में हमको top 5 में 2 बच्चे में 2 या 3 बच्चे मिल गए. Top 100 में मुझे लगता है 30-40 SFG के कम से कम होंगे. So I was happy about it. But he said something very negatively. He said, but how long will you do such things? You are having I have also heard good things about you. You are having very good student crowd. That is why good teachers are sometimes coming to you. Good teachers are staying with you also. But then what will happen is कि तुम्हारे ऊपर नीचे लोग हैं, they will poach your entire team and they will displace you from the building, they will displace you by visibility. So you will not get new students. And this is a problem that we were already facing. When a parent used to come, he says कि हमें आपके बारे में पता ही नहीं है. I say you ask somebody who has written the exam, they will know us. Or somebody who's cleared the exam, he will 100% know us. All right, so I said this. But what happened is, I got a little demotivated. मेरा 1 हफ्ता पूरा खराब हो गया. मुझे लगा बात तो सही है, he is having a certain experience, experience is something that is crucial. So I was a little demotivated, my teacher, and I said, yes, you are right. It is now, okay, and few things have also changed here, as in, with respect to the English medium crowd. So we'll talk about that sometime later, but I was a little concerned that yes, we need to have more advertising, we need to focus on some other kind. There is no point. I also felt for a few days there is no point going through this because it's a lot challenging to conduct and it takes a lot of effort. The rewards are probably in the terms of ranks that we are able to get, and that also those students who are writing their first mains and getting through in the final list. All right, so that is all the reward. So therefore, what happens is that, but after a week or something, I went to see one of my mentors. So I discussed my problem with him, and he said, Ayush, how did you get here? I said, sir, it was Hera. So I said, sir, I took the metro and I came, walked. I walked for some time. I said, no, how did Forum get here? ठीक है, तो मैंने कहा कि sir, I mean, since the beginning itself, now we called people who did not get through, and then the whole list is full of people who did not get through and they cleared, whether it is my first rank one. And so he gave us a lot of visibility. He went on to BBC and said that I did not do any coaching, but I went to Forum and that is how I improved. He said on BBC, and then in Indian Express also, they printed it. Indian Express did not know that this could be potential. They had not heard of ForumIAS, so they printed it in the front page without knowing that this could be potential advertisers. Now if the topper says, they will not print it. Now if the topper says they will not print it, they will say कि ये हमारा advertiser नहीं है. But anyway. So I said, sir, we focused on one thing, and that is now that we designed the program so that it helps the student clear the exam. So he said, then why you are listening to others? You do what you have been doing. That is what has gotten you till here. तो आगे भी चले जाओगे इससे, है ना? You've gotten this far. Most of the serious students know you. Serious aspirants crowd know you because there is selection that is happening from this institute. You have gotten this far by doing it, so iske aage bhi chale jaoge, don't worry about it. So my second lesson for all of you here is that a lot of students are right now thinking कि now my preparation has reached a certain level in the prelims, and therefore now I have to do something else to clear the prelims. Acha. Now this is the clarity that will often affect the people who are at the bottom of the list. उनको भी लग रहा है कि I am not able to score well, so therefore what I need to do? I need to do something else. I need to do something else. Now the people I would generally say here is now, कि if those who are scoring well, it is not that they have done something else or they have done something extraordinary. Anybody, for example, have you done something else, बच्चा? जो रोज का टेस्ट है वही स्ट्रगल है. Anybody else who was saying I have been doing well? एक बच्चा था उधर से SFG में continue. What have you been doing? What has been instructed? Yes, you were saying something? मुझे क्या improve करना है? So मैं यही बता रहा हूँ आपको कि जो इंस्ट्रक्टेड है ना बस वही कर लो. राइट, जो इंस्ट्रक्टेड है बस वही कर लो, मतलब कुछ और करने से प्रीलिम्स नहीं होगा. जैसे फोरम के लिए भी दिस आई मेड दिस लेसन कि कुछ और करने से you will not grow. What you are doing, you get your selections in place, and some years you may get less, some years your students may be less, some students will be more. But you should at least try that. In 100 we should have at least 50 plus students, and that is a good number for us. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. A lot of students are asking that, sir, how to improve? I'm not able to improve my score. So I'm thinking what extra has to be done. Now my understanding with respect to this program and with respect to the struggle that you are going through is that at least you would have understood that in the same book, your reading versus others' reading, there is a gap. In the same text, your understanding versus others' understanding, there is a gap. And in the same text, your understanding after first reading versus fourth reading is different. Is that there or not? Yes, sir. So therefore, what you have to do is you have to read the same thing again and again. You will get somebody to say कि UPSC will not ask question from there. I'm saying it, you don't have to worry about that. Whether where the UPSC will ask the question from. It may not ask question from there, but then you will have categories of understanding that will be built on those fundamental principles. And that is how you will be able to clear the exam. You will somehow, even right now, I'm very sure. See, just some time back, there was one good student of mine. He came to give a talk in the residential coaching. Now that student has one distinction, which I don't think that there are others have achieved since independence. And that is, I only know 2 students. One who resigned from Indian Foreign Service, then he went and got Indian Administrative Service. And another is one who resigned from Indian Administrative Service, and then again wrote the exam to get home cadre. So he was one of them. So he was having a talk. He was having a talk at the residential academy that we have. And he said something very nice. He said that a lot of people, so he said that when we write the prelims exam and there's a question, so he asked this very common question that how many of you end up with 2 choices which you are not able to eliminate? How many of you are there which end up with some questions like that? 2 choices, right? And you're not able to eliminate. So he said something, and I think that all of you should be able to draw a lesson from it and relate to it. He said that, and I would also say this, that out of 100 questions, this number can be different, but what I think is, there are 30 questions or 40 questions where you'll probably know the question, which means you look at the question and you probably know the answer. You have done it before, you have read it in the books or somewhere. All right, then beyond these 30 questions will be the ones, 30 to 40, this number can have plus minus 10 for depending on your, and all these numbers. The next 30 questions will be somewhere where you will be, you probably know the answer, but then you cannot tell from where you know the answer. Right? मतलब it is your intuition, long term memory, कहाँ पढ़ा था, क्लास में बोला था, किसने बोला था, वो नहीं पता, लेकिन है ना, तंबाकू के डब्बे के पीछे पढ़ा था, कुछ होगा, राइट? लेकिन तुम्हें आता है वो, है ना, साबुन के डब्बे के पीछे पढ़ा, कुछ पढ़ा, but then you know, and you don't know how you know it. All right. So therefore, this will be what is called, this will be, है ना, so this starts becoming the guess zone, but this will be very, you will not be 100% clear about this. And the last 30, which you probably would want to attend somewhere, these will become completely, this will be what I would call educated guesses based on knowledge. Educated guesses based on knowledge, which means what you have done, what you have, and the last 30 set of questions which you will have. So now you cannot expect to just do 60 questions and then clear the cutoff, at least in current times. Remember, you will meet such people in Rajendra Nagar and elsewhere who will say, ki, I have attempted 60, but I know my accuracy is 100%. You will meet and they will scare you like anything. I see, मैं कभी-कभी है ना, सुनता हूँ कि लोग बात क्या कर रहे हैं. मास्क वास्क लगाकर चाय वाली दुकान पर जाता हूँ, वहाँ कहता मैंने तो 60 अटेम्प्ट किए, बट आई नो कि मेरा उससे वो बच्चा इंटीमिडेट हो रहा है जिसने 92 किए हैं, और उसको लग रहा है यार इसका एक्यूरेसी तो 100% है, मेरा तो पता नहीं क्या होगा. एंड ही कह रहा है कि भैया चाय के पैसे मैं ही दे देता हूँ आपको. राइट? उसको पता नहीं कि वो रोज ऐसे ही चाय पी रहा है. और चाय वाले के साथ भी सेटिंग है, बता देता है कि उससे वो प्रीलिम्स दे रहा है, वो आएगा तब चाय मांगना. ठीक है? सो देयरफॉर व्हाट हैपेंस इज that these 30 questions will be some sort of, or this you could say is pure guesswork, again based on some sort of logic or what you have read. This will have maximum right, you will get max right from this zone. This you will have some error rate, and this you will have large error rate so as not to exceed, but net effect will be a positive score from this. But he said something wonderful. He said that a lot of students expect, which you will see sometimes in YouTube comment, that if any topper or any coaching will put a video, then they will say how many questions came from the test series. All right, this question they will put. Now those people have no idea of UPSC exam. So this person, he said very nicely, he said, see, right now I'm an IAS officer. I was earlier in the Indian Police Service. You are thinking that you are able to eliminate 50, you are eliminating 50% of the options, and now you are having 2 options. So you have only information enough, you have 50% of the information. He said, I'm telling you, I don't have 10% of the information before I have to make a decision in my district. I don't have 10% of information, and I know that if I make a mistake, then my career will be affected, because my decision will affect lakhs of people at one go. And then after some time, if it will backfire, simple decisions such as there are thousands of people protesting, you will tell the policeman that you do hawa mein firing, and that person will end up doing samne firing. Now you're gone. उसने बोला सर ठीक से सुने नहीं थे. तुम कहोगे अब टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया में मेरी खबर छपेगी फ्रंट पेज पे कि मऊ में ये हुआ, पुलिस ने की फायरिंग. एवरीबडी फ्रॉम द चीफ मिनिस्टर टू द प्राइम मिनिस्टर विल नो. एंड to attack southern states who have no matlab with UP, they will also read the news and say कि देखो यहाँ ये होता है. Where the police is shooting its own citizens, this is happening. So you will say you will make me national news. So therefore, he said, so if you are able to relate to it, see other competitive examinations or lower competitive examinations, subordinate examinations, daroga sipai, all these examinations, what will happen is कि एक किताब आएगी, उसको पढ़ लो तो सारे question nearly आ जाएंगे वहाँ से. So if those of you are expecting ना, those of you on including the YouTube जनता इसको लगता है कि उस टेस्ट सीरीज से क्वेश्चन कितने आते हैं, तो देखो UPSC does not want such people कि जो टेस्ट सीरीज में क्वेश्चन पूछा वही उठाकर, वो नहीं करेगा ऐसा. मतलब they will make sure that they don't do it because they are looking for people who are able to make decisions. And very nicely he said that this exam is about making decision that you are having. So he said that in these 30 questions, some of you may have 90% of the information, 50% plus information you will have. These questions you may have 40 to 50% information. Here you will have 10% or less information. उसमें कुछ नहीं पता है. You are not able to eliminate 2 also. लेकिन अंदर से लग रहा है कि शायद ए होगा, शायद ये हो सकता है. अच्छा, गांधी जी उस समय तो अफ्रीका में थे, तो 1905 पार्टीशन ऑफ बंगाल के समय तो थे या नहीं थे नहीं पता. राइट. उसी के कारण व्हेन गांधी जी वुड कम, तब तो प्रवासी दिवस मनाया जाता है. व्हेन गांधी जी रिटर्न टू इंडिया, राइट, फ्रॉम साउथ अफ्रीका. तो लगेगा कि यार उसके पहले में तो गांधी का कंट्रीब्यूशन वाज नॉट देयर. इतना दिमाग लगाया और कुछ वट एवर मे बी द लॉजिक. So therefore, and he said very nicely, and I want you to benefit from this ad, because that is coming from a distinguished person who has cleared the exam 4 times, 2 times in the Indian Administrative Service. All right, so he said ki, so therefore all of you have to understand that this whole practice you are doing, not ki yahi question wahan aa jayega, that will not happen. But what will happen is if you are able to solve it here, you will be able to solve it there. And this exam was and always, barring a few years where the commission may be a little lax and may have asked generic questions which may have been easily predicted by coaching institutes. Otherwise, the commission will make sure that enough number of questions will be there. Some questions will be there which you should know, versus some questions, versus some questions will be there where you do not have limited or no information and you have to take an educated guess. So those of you, I normally not say, see, every time I say this, that this exam is about knowledge game. And this I was supposed to have it if the date was around 26th May, but then the date has gotten extended. But I must say, if I do not get enough data, is in the end, see, whole of your preparation has to be knowledge game, but when it comes to the end, it ceases being a knowledge game. And it becomes a decision making game. It becomes a common sense game. It becomes how you are able to handle a lot of things, including your emotions. You know, when I get students like you, sometimes my only worry is for most of you who are, I am very clear that ये बच्चा prelims clear कर जाएगा, ये mains में आएगा हमारे पास. But then there is one doubt that I have, and that is with good performing students or those who are putting a lot of struggle, especially. For example, some of you may be putting a lot of struggle कि यार बहुत मेहनत कर रहे हैं, तब जाकर एक struggle हो रही है. Right? For those of you, I am worried is that, and that is one thing that you have to master from right now, Vachu. And that is and managing emotions. See, now what will happen is this, of course this talk was supposed to happen when the previous date was there, but then what will happen is as the अभी तो अभी stress free zone में हो गए, ठीक है, थोड़ा सा 15 days, 21 days reprieve you have got it, relief you have got it. But what will happen is that as the exam approaches, your stress levels will become a lot higher. You will be under a lot of stress, and that is when small problems start looking like big problems. I've told you before that you will clear the prelims exam if prelims is your only problem. But you have any other problem, such as a fight with the landlord, something going on in your personal life, private life, anything that is going on around you, if that is your bigger problem, then probably it becomes difficult. You have to make sure that in the next days, prelims has to be your only problem. If that is your only problem, you will clear the exam. And after prelims, if mains is your only problem. That yaar mere ko GS mein number kaise karne, 1 paper 2 3 4 essay and this. If you are apart from this, if you are troubled by any other thing which is taking a mental bandwidth, then it will be difficult. And that is what focus is all about. Focus is all about limiting the things that you are thinking about. Focus is simply limiting the things that you are thinking about. All right. So therefore, 2 things that I'm worried about the good students. Now with respect to stress. See, one thing that you all have to develop the ability is that you will have to learn how to manage your stress levels, which means that I have often seen that sometimes students, I'm not talking about the students who are performing consistently well. They have sorted out, they have figured out how to manage this. I'm talking about those who are a little bit on the struggling side and the people who are falling. What will happen is days where you will study hard, you will probably have some sort of good result. Now what happens is on that day, you will, of course, it will come with a lot of stress because you will have given disproportionate hours to study. People will tell you on the internet that this exam is easy, thoda halke se padhne se ho jayega, but that is not like that. I think you will all agree to it, that it's a decently tough competitive exam. So what happens is that some of you may have the habit that the minute you get stressed, you do start doing phone a friend. Or you ask somebody for a tea and then you dump it out and you talk until that person has taken the whole load and now the stress is in him and then now you have relieved yourself of your stress. है ना, उतना डंपिंग कर दिया कि वो परेशान है, पता चले पेपर भी नहीं दे रहा है, वो अलग परेशान है. तुम कह रहे हो तुम क्यों परेशान हो? बोले भैया मैं 25 के लिए परेशान हो रखा हूँ. है ना, आप इतना परेशान हो 24 के लिए, मैं 25 के लिए पर. कुछ पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज 29 के लिए परेशान है. राइट कि भाई अभी का तो 24 का तो सॉर्टेड है, गया है, अब 29 में क्या करना है उसके लिए परेशान है. राइट. So therefore now this is bachche, if some of you do have this habit, you can murmur and say yes or no. I'll not ask you to raise hands. है ना? So some of you have this habit? You know such people who have this habit? Now raise hands. Yes. So what happens is, bachcha, if you are doing this on a regular basis, you are not training your mind to handle the stress. Because what will happen is on the daily basis, you are accumulating a stress and then you are talking to your family to relieve the stress on a daily basis. That cannot be done. Because what happens is, if you have not accumulated, you are not trained your mind to handle that level of pressure, then I'm worried about you because in the last week, crumbling will happen, or on the day of the exam, you will crumble. Because what will happen is, what happens every year, when you will see the civil services prelims paper, at first it will look like an alien paper, लगेगा कोई अलग exam में आ गए हैं. है ना, कि भाई देख रहे हो कि सिविल सर्विसेज का ही एग्जाम है, कोई दूसरा पेपर बट गया है क्लास में. राइट. सो यू विल टेक अ पेपर, देन इट विल सर्टेन, एंड आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट सीजन्ड कैंडिडेट्स हु आर क्लियरिंग द एग्जाम एवरीवेयर. है ना, कि पहला पन्ना देखा, फिर लगा कि पढ़ लो सिविल सर्विस प्रीलिम्स 24 ही तो नहीं है, कहीं 25 का तो कुछ अलग तो नहीं दे दिया. ये सब कुछ नहीं सुना है. बट स्लोली व्हाट विल हैपन इज, एंड है ना, दैट यू विल बिकम फेमिलियर, एंड देन व्हेन यू एट द एंड ऑफ द डे, by evening you will realize कि पेपर ठीक ठाक था. 3 दिन के बाद it will strike you कि यार पेपर ठीक ठाक था, बिल्कुल stupid mistakes करके आया हूं मैं. है ना? And every year this happens. I'm talking there have been years where the paper has been very regular. That year also YouTube has been shouting on the top that this year the paper was completely UPSC has traumatized the candidate, and EdTech players, they will come out with videos with millions of views by people who are not writing the prelims paper, and there it will say that the paper was completely done. So one thing is, then how do you manage that stress? A good way to do is, बच्चा, you are civil service aspirants, आपका काम है पढ़ना और लिखना. ये 2 काम है, और पूरे करियर में यही काम करना. You will become, even if you join the IPS, you till superintendent, even SDM level and one additional SP level, you will have some work. Slowly it will become a writing job, and you will have to do elaborate documentation because that will require a lot of, यहाँ पर चीज़ चाहिए, बहुत लोग नहीं लिख पाते हैं, इसीलिए आपकी रिक्रूटमेंट हो रही है. सो अ गुड वे टू रिलीव दैट स्ट्रेस इज प्लीज राइट 1-page जर्नल और समथिंग. आई डोंट वांट टू ग्लोरीफाई इट और मेक इट साउंड वेरी रोमांटिक और समथिंग, बट इफ यू आर अंडर स्ट्रेस, यू हैव 2 options. फोन अ फ्रेंड, डोंट एक्सरसाइज दैट. You just write in your diary that today the test was very bad or whatever, and it was pathetic, I felt mauled in the paper, but then I have to, these areas are weak. I'm telling you, just at 4 or 5 minute time with your diary, writing down these thoughts will relieve your stress, but it will also train your mind how to accept the stress. But those of you, I'm telling you, if you have the habit of phoning a friend, he will clear the exam and you will not. It will become very difficult. All right. And the second is managing your emotions, which is again very important, because if you are working hard, there will be days you will be very emotional and there will be days where you will cry. Has anybody cried during the preparation? रुलाई छुट्टी है या नहीं? अगले हफ्ते के पेपर में छूट जाएगी. So their days will be emotional about it. Now again, what I'm saying is this emotional management is also very important. I'm saying this because this emotional management problem happens at the prelims and the mains and the interview also. There are students who come back and say, sir, I screwed up. It was my first interview. I got very emotional. It will happen. And you think of a perspective, now somebody is preparing for like 2-3 years for the exam. And you are very committed about public service. You want to work for the society. And when you go for the interview, you had a long interview. At the end of it, they ask you why IAS. Now, when this founding, the existential question as to why IAS after 3 years putting into this exam is asked, dreaming day and night and crying countless nights. This will happen. I'm not sure about other exams, but when it comes to the civil services exam, मतलब rely तो छूटेगी ही. Then in the why IAS question, it is likely that someone may get emotional. It may happen or not. कि भाई अब 3 साल के बाद now you are asking why IAS and then है ना, मतलब there is nothing that I've practically done in the past 2 or 3 years. I've just been doing just one thing. My life has been non-existent. I mean, I have no identity, I have no work. I've just been chasing this as if it was a wild goose chase. All right, so therefore you may get him. So this emotional management is also very important. This is very important. You have to train yourself right now. And this will happen when either you are on a very low as well as when you are a very high. Which means कि you have studied whole night, उसके बाद नंबर आ गए तो एक बार तो रुलाई छूट जाएगी कि यार है ना, इतनी फाइट के बाद मुझे नंबर आए हैं, होना चाहिए ये. But then what is needed is on the day of the exam, this stress is when you will have managed, when you will find an unfamiliar paper. Okay. Now managing emotions is very important when you have a very easy or a familiar paper. This is the mistake that some of you will make when you will find questions which are very easy and then you have worked so hard और उसके बाद देख रहे हो यार अच्छा commission will do that. Like after every 3-4 questions एकदम एक फुद्दू question रहेगा. Right, which will be a straight question picked up from which everybody knows. Right, which is why when you show the paper to a 10th class student, the parents will come and say कि my son will clear the civil service exam, he is already solving 20 questions. उसको तो पूरा sorted है, बस अब IAS वेट कर रहा है कि कैसे +2 ग्रेजुएशन हो और IAS का swearing in हो जाए मेरा. ठीक है, there will be 20 questions like that. So what happens is that sometimes if you get a set where the strong areas of your preparation are there in the initial, then what will happen is you are likely to what happens कि अरे ये तो सारा बहुत आसान पेपर आ गया, and that is also you have to manage your emotions so that you do not make silly mistakes by कि इसको ऐसे टिक कर दिया, and you because you are thinking you are not able to manage your emotions. All right, so that also you have to train yourself, and which is why a good see why I'm saying this. आपको लगेगा ना कि सर ये बड़े Western ideas दे रहे हैं journaling और ये सब, but I am saying this because I've been taking mock interviews and you know, when you meet the student at the fag end of his preparation, that is at the interview stage, now there are people, देखो वो पूरा filter, they are coming after the whole filtration process. They've cleared the prelims, they've gone through all that, they've cleared the mains exam, they come for the interview. Out of 10 people coming for the interview, you will end up finding that at least 5-6 people are doing some sort of meditation and some sort of writing diary. So I asked them कि अभी hobby ऐसे ही लिखा है या मतलब just for the sake of UPSC interview you have wrote diary writing or you genuinely writing? No sir, after my first prelims itself or second prelims, I was very worried. Last 1 month I started writing. Then in the mains I was writing because my roommate had left. My flatmate who was preparing with me, he said कि अब नहीं होगा, वो चला गया. Then I did not, and I was too old to make friends with other people. So I started writing. So mains में also I used to write every day, and for the interview also I'm writing. So it's not like people are just faking it. People end up doing things such as meditation and writing journal. So don't think that I'm giving some original ideas. I'm saying what I'm seeing the students do. And when I'm meeting them, what are the common qualities or common things that they have done. I'm observing them and I'm telling you. All right, so I'm not expecting all of you to pick up, but some of you will pick up and some of you will use it as a source of your strength. You have to learn how to manage your stress and you have to manage your emotions. Remember, this paper, the civil services examination, will always be a paper that will test your decision making skills. So 13 questions will be there where you will probably will be like a routine job where you know everything that is needed to make the decision. The next 30 questions will be where you'll be challenged. You have limited information, and in next 30 questions you have no information, and you'll be making a decision. So the paper will always end up being a decision making paper. The paper will, so when you see a difficult paper, whether it is in your test series or others, एक चीज दिमाग में डाल लेना कि it is not about knowing not at this stage, अभी पढ़ाई करना, लेकिन broadly मान के चलो. Alright, broadly एक चीज मान के चलो, you have to, now see, this advice if I give you at the beginning of the preparation, then what happens is, now students are not studying, so they say, decision making ये तो है, वही improve कर रहा हूँ. Right? So this also have to, because some students will have the mind of a 5-year-old. कि बिल्कुल 5 साल के बच्चे का बुद्धि है. जैसे ये प्लान बता दिया, अब वो कह रहा है कि मेरे को डिसीजन मेकिंग सीखनी है, किताब को रखो साइड. एकदम 5 साल वाले बच्चे का कि मानस पटेल पे ये आइडिया चला गया कि प्रीलिम्स पेपर इज अबाउट डिसीजन मेकिंग. इन द एंड इट इज अबाउट डिसीजन मेकिंग, नॉट इन द, मतलब वो भी अगर है तो लबासना में उसकी CRPC, IPC और केस स्टडीज की क्लास उसकी हो रखी है. उसके बाद जिला भेजा जा रहा है कि नाउ यू मेक डिसीजंस ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ व्हाट यू हैव studied, but situation will come from out of syllabus. ये नहीं कि बिना पढ़े लबासना में है ना ड्राइंग वगैरह डांस वगैरह कराया उसके बाद भेज दिया, ऐसा नहीं है ना. मतलब 2-4 ये सब कराया चित्रकारी, ऐसा नहीं है. पूरी ट्रेनिंग, होल ट्रेनिंग इज हैपनिंग, देन ही इज सपोज्ड टू मेक डिसीजन. So remember here, so that is why if some of you have the mind, some of you want to pick up the easy lessons, तो कह देगा सर डिसीजन मेकिंग है, उसी पर काम कर रहा हूँ आजकल. तो मैं आजकल लोगों को बुला के एडवाइस देता हूँ, फिर देखता हूँ कि वो सही एडवाइस था या गलत. अगर गुस्से में वापस आता है तो पता चल जाता है गलत दे दिया उसको, है ना. सो दिस इज, इन द एंड इट इज अबाउट डिसीजन मेकिंग. अभी तो फिलहाल अभी पढ़ना है और डिसीजंस इंप्रूव करने हैं. राइट नाउ with respect to doing optional subject, I'll just give you one line of mantra. If at all you think that karna hi hai, if at all you think that you have to do your optional or GS paper 4, what I would not expect from you is that you begin doing 2 hours of your GS preparation, GS mains preparation or optional. Don't do that. And then you are doing it for 1 month. Why it is the problem here? The problem here is that people who are saying that, sir, every day I'm studying for prelims also and mains also, end up studying neither for prelims nor for mains. If you at all you have to do this, then please identify 5 days where you will only study that. 5 दिन identify करो, you identify those 5 days or a block of time where you will only study that and you won't do anything else, so that mentally you are also aware that you have not studied for prelims 5 days. Because cumulatively studying for 3 days into 5 days, that subject, what will happen is, you will think कि मेरा prelims भी तो हो रहा है. अरे भाई, when you are studying anything else apart from prelims, you are compromising on the prelims exam. All right, but then you are not aware of it. See, a good student is not somebody who's studying very hard. A good student is one who's knowing what he has not studied, and he will say, sir, I have not read this, and this is what I was taking mock interview of a Hindi medium candidate. He was my best student this year. All right, so I was asking him some questions. वो अभी NPA में था, तो मैंने कहा कि अच्छा, he did not join forum. तो मैंने पूछा क्यों, बोला कि सर क्लैरिटी नहीं थी. They said कि हिंदी मीडियम का भी क्लोज्ड है. This was true also. We wanted to filter the candidate. All right, so what happens is कि मैं और मेरा एक दोस्त रेवेन्यू सर्विस का था, हम गए सेंटर पे, लेकिन उस समय नहीं क्लियर था तो हम नहीं करे. तो मॉक इंटरव्यू के समय ना व्हाट वाज, और उसका इंटरव्यू मैंने 2-3 बच्चों को भेजा भी बाद में. So when asking him question, clearly the minute I went to some area, he said कि sir, and he was giving good answers. So now I asked him some questions from his staff. Very clearly he said कि sir, sorry sir, but I have not prepared this question, and therefore 1 week later maybe I'll prepare and then we can have another session. I was very impressed because what was the beauty of it? He was very clear कि ये मेरा तैयार नहीं है. और गड़बड़ क्या होती कि सर पूछ के देख लो, है ना. Now the thing is कि if you don't know whether it is prepared or not, then how, then it's a big problem. Then you are treating it a little mildly. So ये नहीं करना है. All right. Another thing is, last few things is that, bachcho, those of you who are a little comfortable with GS, if at all you have any bandwidth, please focus on CSAT. CSAT is not like that if you study, one day you study 8 hours, you'll become good at it. We are trying to make one minimal effort by giving you 5 questions. They may be on the easier side right now, but they will get difficult with time. Jitna meri buddhi thi, jitni hamari buddhi thi, see, we will try to do something. Of course, there will be some ramifications. But what we have 5 questions is, because last year a lot of students who did well but did not probably focus on CSAT, they got out. Now, the minute we would have made CSAT outside of 50 questions, that was also the choice. Some student is like, sir, we have to practice 50 questions. Why you are giving 60 questions in 1 hour? So therefore, we have made it. It is not evaluated. But then at least my expectation is the student who's running out after 30 minutes saying ki mera ho gaya, at least is spending time doing the CSAT. See, 5, 10, 15, 20 questions. If 5, 10, 15, 20 questions done every day will have much more impact than giving 3 days exclusively to CSAT. All right, so ये mistake नहीं करनी है. If at all you have any doubt, then before optional pick up CSAT, because it is better, or your mains preparation. You can still do those things after June, after 16th of June. But don't be the kid who's doing optional and GS mains right now, और 17 जून को खड़ा है कि सर CSAT का next batch कब launch कर रहे हो. ये नहीं करना बच्चे, और करेंगे बोलने के बाद भी करेंगे कि 17 जून को बच्चा बहुत क्लियर है कि अब तो CSAT, और क्या बोला जा रहा है कि अभी पढ़ लो. Whenever I told you, whenever you are in a doubt, you refer to the students who are doing well or and not extremely well, जो थोड़ा better कर रहे हैं, because extremely well may be extremely sharp, some of them. So therefore what will happen is he may be preparing for a very long time. But somebody who's struggling and doing well, you try to see what he's doing and you can do that. And lastly, bachcho, one more thing, that see, you only know your true position. Only you know your true position. Your parents also don't know your true position. Only they know what they are assessing your position from what you are telling them. All right. Only know your true strengths and weaknesses. अगर कोई चीज strength नहीं है, where we are not sure whether it's strong or not, then make sure that it is a weakness, because it is a competitive arena. It is a competitive arena. So therefore, only you know your true position. You know and write down what are your weaknesses and solve them one by one. You learn how to close issues. It cannot be that you are saying in January, ki, sir, I'm good with everything, SNT, science and tech is not good. All right, I'm satisfied, theek hai, it can be done. And then in February also the student says, science and tech is not good and CSAT I have not done. Fine, now those answers have to start changing in March. You can't say that, abhi bhi agar fir bol rahe ho, sir, science and tech is not good, then I am worried now. और फिर मई में बोलोगे साइंस एंड टेक इज नॉट गुड, फिर जून में अगर कह दिए तो फिर मैं कहूंगा कि देखो ये अगले साल का ईयर लॉन्ग टेस्ट सीरीज है, ये नहीं करना है. Whatever are your weak, see, it is, I'm telling you that if you are weak at something, you try to correlate it with the time you have given. First is, if you are weak at something, you'll lose interest in it. Second is, if you lose interest, then you will give it less time. One simple way of doing something is not that you just give it more time. If you are afraid of CSAT, de do na 100 घंटे. You give it 100 hours and see how much progress you are making. And you may not reach, let's say you have to reach from A to B. All right. Acha, be very clear. You may not reach, you have to read from A to B. You may not reach here, but you may be somewhere midway with 100 hours. And therefore, from there you have to reach, you do something else and then you reach further ahead. And with respect to making plans, Forum has a good enough plan. It is a time-tested plan. We have been getting excellent results. You just follow the plan. If you did not hear it properly from those who are doing, what did you do? He said very nicely that, sir, I was just following the instructions, those who are doing well. But the people who's not doing well, I will always find that they're not following the instruction. Now, another thing is, I've gotten a message, he said, despite studying from the same source, I'm not able to answer the question. Why would this happen? With SFG, at least you should be clear that why it is happening. Because you are probably thinking that it is a college level exam. You are reading it once and then you are going and writing the exam. Now that will not cut it. You have to read, how many times bacha do you need to read? 3 times at least. You have to read something 3-4 times. Uske pehle don't expect to answer a UPSC level question because it will be an applied question. After reading everything, I will give you a question और वहीं गड़बड़ कर दोगे. ये question बताओ. For a democracy, independence of which of the following institutions is essential? Tell me some institutions' name. Okay, some people's. Very good. Election Commission. हाँ? Postponement Directorate. CBI. डाल लो जितने डालने हैं. How many of you say this? CAG. Ambedkar called him as the? Huh? Most important officer under the Constitution. His independence, how important it is for democracy to thrive? Yes or no? You say whether it's essential, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. No. Not needed. Election Commission, yes or no? Yes. Some students have thought कि सब में yes बोलेंगे तो ऐसे कुछ तो सही हो जाएगा. Correct. Enforcement Directorate, yes or no? Yes, not needed. CBI, not needed. For the simple reason that even if it is asked in the interview, do you think that these are independent agencies? Your answer is very clear in the interview. Ki, sir, this is ED is under the Department of Revenue. So it is not, है ना, या फिर है ना. So therefore, it is an agency of the state. It is an agency of whom? By the one who is having state power, and his job is to do. If it is goes somewhere, if it goes after somewhere, everyone, including an ordinary citizen like you, वो 10 रुपए का तुम पर मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग का केस बना ही देगा, है ना, कि फ्रेंड से पेटीएम लेकर कैश पे किया, वो भी मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग है, वो केस बना देगा आप. ठीक है. So therefore these institutions, they are agencies of the government. They are not supposed to be independent. They are not expected to be independent. It's just like saying that yes, you could say that police, if police is not listening to the government, army not listening to the government. Pakistan has an independent army. सरकार कुछ कह रही है, आर्मी कुछ कह रही है. अभी दे देता. That is why you're writing the civil. इसीलिए इतना पढ़ना है. अभी अगर दूसरे एग्जाम के बच्चों से पूछूंगा तो कह देगा सर आर्मी को भी इंडिपेंडेंट होना चाहिए डेमोक्रेसी के लिए. तो बिकॉज एंड यू आस्क देम व्हाई, बोलेंगे व्हेन पॉलिटिशियंस आर करप्ट, आर्मी विल कैच एंड पुट देम इन जेल. मैं बता रहा हूँ, जस्ट यू चेंज द क्लासरूम एंड डिफरेंट एग्जाम, द आंसर ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स विल. इतनी पढ़ाई इसलिए कर रहे हो ताकि ये अंडरस्टैंडिंग हो, तुमको पता है कि अरे भाई वो इंस्पेक्टर के एग्जाम के लिए वो अपीयर हो रहे हैं, तो उनको वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग, एंड दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर हिज राइट, दैट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, ही हैज टू सी दैट. ठीक है. आप सिविल सर्विसेज के लिए बैठ रहे हैं, आपको पता, आप एज अ 25, 28 और 29 year old, you will be sitting over a 55-year-old man who, you will be superintendent of police, he will be a DSP of your father's age. Why? It is expected that you have a better understanding, studying philosophy, literature, law, ethics, all these things you are studying. What about with respect to the press? Extremely essential for the thriving of a democracy. Essential feature. If you do not have a free press, you do not have democracy. है ना? This institution is more important than the independent CBI or even the CAG. And lastly, Supreme Court. Judiciary. Why the judiciary is independent judiciary is central for democracy? Why? Very good, checks and balances and separation of power. I've told you this before also and I'll repeat it, that when Manrega was announced by the government, alias, हाँ बोलो बच्चे? Why not CAG? Very good. Now the question is, यहीं पर गलती होती कि why not CAG is essential for the functioning of a democracy. See, that is because an office of CAG or its equivalent does not exist in all democracies in the way that it exists in India. So that is not, it is not an essential feature of a democracy that there should be. He is the guardian of a public purse. And our forefathers did not have full trust or in the wisdom of the elected executive with respect to the financial propriety. But even if the CAG is not independent, you can have democracy. Or CAG's office may not, which is why you will often hear reforms that, for example, you must have heard in public administration, very noted thinker, Appleby must have, Appleby का comment होगा public admin या फिर लक्ष्मीकांत में भी अब added होगा. पुराने version में नहीं था, second, third edition में. He will say कि भाई in India the CAG has been glorified like anything and CAG reports become political issues. In no other country CAG reports end up becoming political issues so as to lead to the fall of a government. All right, so there are democracies where an office of the nature of CAG that we have in India. और actually गलती बाकी में नहीं करते, गलती अगर बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ाई की है तो यहाँ गलती करते, अगर थोड़ी पढ़ाई की है तो यहाँ गलती करते, and after that it will be an educated guesswork only. ठीक है? So remember all this. And the last is independent judiciary because of several reasons. One is that in a democracy, as I was saying, in Manrega there was corruption. One of the arguments given in favor of Manrega was that if the corruption at the lowest level, which means the Manrega worker was doing corruption, he was not working and he was taking the money. You are aware that before 2014 we did not have direct benefit transfer. Account payment नहीं होता था. वो cash was given. So think of it. Now if somebody comes, है ना, so think of it that I have to claim that I have paid you in cash. I can claim any amount, isn't it? Right? So therefore that was the problem. So one of the arguments was given is this is leading to what is called deepening of democracy. है ना? Remember that if everybody is corrupt, probably it is more democratic than if only one person is corrupt, because to be corrupt on public money, you need to have access to power. Some sort of power you need to have to be corrupt in public. I'm not justifying corruption. कोई क्लिप मत बना दे छोटे पार्ट को बना करके ऐसे कह रहे हैं कि ये सिखाया जा रहा है इस क्लास में, एथिक्स के टीचर हैं, है ना? So therefore I said that deepening of democracy is happening in our country, right? So the reason was that, so therefore when it comes to for a democracy, remember that now this is the kind of question that you will get in the exam. और ये या तो पढ़ोगे तो लगेगा कि ये तो हर जगह है या फिर लगेगा ये कहीं भी नहीं है. And in the end you will have to make an what is called an educated guesswork based on wider reading and understanding. All right? So that is all, my friends, I wanted to say to you. Now with respect to SFG, what we have done is that lot of students, jitne students hai utni suggestions and those are the perils of democracy. Right, so what we have done is that some of you may want to devote more time to revision or self-study. So instead of 5 days, we'll be having the SFG on 4 days from the coming week. So we will get some breather. Now, some students have sent a mail, especially one student, he sent a mail that, sir, I'm not able to complete the syllabus. Now, if you're not able to complete the syllabus, then you do things in advance. Don't always be chasing. So if, for example, you're having 4 days, you get 3 extra days. 1 day will go in writing simulator, but then you still have 2 extra days. So that means that you will either revise the back or you will go for that. One more thing is students have said, sir, do we need to do any other test series? Now 5-6 years back when we started the program, we did have mixed views, but now bacha, we have enough number of students, a few hundred students who have only done SFG because they did not get the time, and which is a good thing. I am worried about getting 21 days because I know that इसके कारण बहुत लोग गड़बड़ करेंगे. ठीक है? So now we have enough number of students who did not get the time, they did not do any test series, and they have cleared the exam by doing SFG and writing full length test. That is one. Second is whenever a student comes and says, ki, sir, I have 2 other coaching papers I'm trying to solve. I am worried. Why am I worried? not of the competition. That's not the concern. That we will fight, that we know how to fight, that we can fight. उतना मेहनत कर लेते हैं हम लोग. But what I'm worried is ना कि ये वही बच्चा है जो कह रहा है कि सर ये है ना, एक पुणे की कोचिंग है उसका पेपर उठा लिया है और एक बैंगलोर की कोचिंग है उसका पेपर उठा लिया है मैंने, अब उसके 20-20 पेपर सॉल्व करूंगा. ये वो बच्चा है जो किताब नहीं पढ़ेगा, जो SFG का टेस्ट नहीं रिवाइज करेगा. If you have time, take the old SFG test and try to, if possible in the coming test, you mark your test with pencil, erase it and write the same paper again. Master the paper. See what happens is now it becomes very frustrating when somebody will come or say, sir, I have read the book now, what I do. You don't have to read when it comes to prelims, you don't have to read, you have to master it. You are solving a paper, you don't have to solve the paper, you have to master it. You are looking for a top rank. It's a very minuscule selection percentage. There तुम कह रहे हो कि मैं पढ़ के आ गया हूँ. It's like me who has never played a flute. मैं कहूँगा सर मैंने बाहर बजाया, अब मैं तुम्हें बजाकर सुनाऊंगा. तो सब कान बंद करोगे ना कि सर कितनी बार बजाया? बोला कि सर बाहर एक बार बजाया है, अच्छा बजा लेता हूँ. तो पूछोगे ना किसने कहा कि आप अच्छा बजाते हो, है ना? तो it is not like that. You have to do it. You don't have to read it कि मतलब don't have this mild approach to this exam. You can have it for other exams. But this exam, that mild approach will not work. All right. It is you are either fully in or fully out. मतलब आधा नहीं कि सर professionally committed elsewhere but passion है इसलिए ये कर रहे हैं. Then you can do the job with passion but you cannot clear the exam with passion. All right. The job that is there, you can do with passion and probably you will need passion to do that public service, given the challenges on the ground. Right? But this exam will not be cleared just with passion. It will require a lot of hard work. It will require saying no to a lot of things. और एकदम ये याद रखने कि कुछ और करने से prelims नहीं निकलेगा. I had a very good student. So one of his friends came and she said to me, just 2-3 years back, he was doing all prelims test series and very well. So she asked a question. She said, sir, his friend tell me that we are all reading the same book, but why some people are scoring more and some people are scoring less? And I knew that she has not done SFG, because once you have done SFG, you know ki, bhai, same book and same text pe, with respect to our absorption rates, there is a difference, and with the amount of effort, there is a difference. And forget among other people, in your own effort, in some places where you put effort, there is a difference, and some places, you have not given it the number of hours, there is difference. So you have gotten some extra time. Time is a very great leveler and it is a very egalitarian concept. Everyone has gotten an equal amount of it, but not everybody will use it equally wisely. Anybody has any? I'll take 3 questions. Anybody has any questions? Yes, bolo, last benches. Nobody has any? Haan, bolo. Yes, bache. I'll come to you first. Yes.
सर काफी सारे टेस्ट में ज़्यादा स्कोर एक रैंकिंग में आके रुक जाता है 45 to 55 से आगे नहीं जा रहा, तो फिर उसके लिए क्या करना चाहिए?
उससे so he is saying a very good thing that sir, I'm getting a score in a certain range, I'm not able to beat it. I'm not going to say that you will beat it in the next test, but if the same subject, if you want to beat it, take that paper, erase what you have marked without looking at the solutions and the answer key. You attempt that paper after 2 weeks, so that you are able to, in practice, you are able to breach the score. Let's say out of 100 questions, you are attempting 45 to 55. For example, in practice, write the paper again so that you are reaching 75 and 85. And then write it again after 1 month so that you're reaching 85 to 100. That is what you have to do. Conquer that paper, and then art and culture, you are not getting score, and you have 5 such papers, you write and rewrite them, and when you are getting them wrong, go and read again after a certain time lapse where you've forgotten the answers. You write them again. What will happen is some questions which you got right before, you will get wrong in the second iteration or the third iteration, which means your concepts are not clear or you don't properly remember. So that you do. But that is a very short way of improving your score in that subject. Conquer the papers. Once you conquer it in your mind, you will stop. यार 5 पेपर है, you know that सब में 30-30 नंबर आके बैठे हुए हैं. बताने में भी खराब लगता है किसी को. Right? Art and culture के papers. How do you conquer it? You write the paper and from 30 marks you move to 60 marks, 70 marks, 90 marks, 120 marks. All right. So you move there. Yes. हाँ, yes, बोलो बच्चे.
Reading books, but I'm not good at making notes. मुझे SFG में नंबर मतलब 100 to 100 रैंक, but मैं हाईलाइट करके पार्ट को पढ़ता हूँ. बट जब मैं नोट्स बनाने का टाइम आता है, मुझे लगता है टाइम बहुत ज़्यादा कंज्यूम हो रहा है, तो मैंने क्या ऐसा कि लास्ट में.
So he is asking a very important question that is relevant. Those of you, some of you hold your horses. Some very pertinent questions which you are having, but somebody else is asking on your behalf. So he said a very good question that I'm able to manage my paper. I'm able to get a good score. I'm highlighting in the book, but I feel the competitive need to make notes because everybody is making it and be for the last minute revision. C, for subjects where there you have one single book or very authoritative sources, such as your polity and all, you don't need to make notes. If you have made it is fine. Don't switch, okay? But if you have not made any notes, it's perfectly all right. You don't need to make notes. You probably may need to make notes where there are multiple sources and therefore you want to have one source. Second is that note making will always take more time. And it will look as if you're wasting your time, but it is useful. But if it is whatever is working for you, you do. And in subjects, for example, such as art and culture, you can make notes. And when you make notes, it should be, as I told you, precise. It should not be very beautiful with 3 color pens and highlighter and everything. It should not be pretty. It should only be understood by you. It should be of the level that, it should be like the cheating farras that you probably make for the exam, and except that you don't use them. They have to be like this. They are good enough. They are so concise that you can use it just before the exam. That is all. But for other book subjects such as polity and economy, I don't think. See, there are 2 kinds of subjects. Isko bhi samajh lo. What are the subjects we have? Polity, eco, history, science and tech, geography. What else? And
social issue.
सब डाल लो. मैं इसका सिलेबस इसमें सोशल इश्यूज भी डाल लो, एथिक्स भी डाल लो, सब डाल लो. करंट अफेयर. सी, out of this, these subjects, polity, economy, these are logical subjects, which means that if a long-term reading is more helpful than an immediate reading, you will not forget it. Article 21 भूल नहीं जाओगे. अब तो खैर बिल्कुल ही नहीं भूलोगे. 60-70 साल तक भूलोगे नहीं. इकोनॉमी के कॉन्सेप्ट्स अगर इन्फ्लेशन समझ, इफ यू हैव अंडरस्टूड इट, then you know what will cause inflation and what will not cause inflation. So you don't have to read it again and again. These are the subjects. Apart from this, to some extent science and tech, but then science and tech does require revision because the breadth of the syllabus will be a lot more. All right. So these will be the, and even including, I'll say, current affairs also. These are the areas where you will study them anywhere between 1 month before the exam till up to 10 days before the exam. You don't need to read these maybe immediately within the exam. Not so much current affairs. Current affairs will be in the gray zone. Okay? But these polity, economy, these subjects primarily, you read it. Even if you don't read it, in the last 1 week, you will be sorted. The subjects that you must read 1 day before the exam, and that will always be subjects such as modern history. Okay? Such as modern history with some good returns, art and medieval history, art and culture. Geography, not 1 day before the exam, but last week you may have to study these 2 subjects. Last week again I'm saying. All right, and last day, pura ka pura history, because there you will have some benefit. I'm not saying कि तुम्हारे number बढ़ जाएंगे. What will happen is 2-3 mistake you will make if you have not read history 1 or 2 days before. You will have to read that. But if you're reading polity in the last moment, that is not needed. The questions, if you see the questions, last year or previous year question, there is nothing that you can immediately read and replicate. You either have understood and you are able to mark it, or you have not understood. It will not happen that immediately, है ना. Whereas in modern history, if you get a partition of Bengal question, तो वहाँ confusion हो जाएगा कुछ बच्चों को कि 1905 में था कि 1915 में था. होम लीग मूवमेंट का टाइमलाइन में पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि होम रूल मूवमेंट when did it start. All right, you may not be able. Revolutionary activities. Some people after studying also will not be able to map it, which part of freedom struggle it happened, and sometimes they will remember it happened in early struggle or late struggle. That confusion also some of you may have. All right. So therefore, these subjects have to be done like that. And no, if you have to make notes, then see, for geography, for environment also, you have the red book. It is a very good book. There are enough number of students who have cleared from that. So I also don't think कि अगर वो book पढ़ रहे हो, then it is sorted out and one PDF I think is available freely. वो कर सकते हो. उसके अलावा मुझे नहीं लगता, you may need to make notes somewhere between maybe in art and culture, but there also if you are reading books, see note making again is not as important for prelims as it will be for mains. Prelims में you have to move study in one direction, mains में ज़्यादा relevant है, ठीक है, that extent. Yes, when somebody was behind, हाँ बोल बच्चे.
You told that we haven't cleared mains and we should stick to the same strategy.
If you have not cleared prelim, then we should stick to the. Yes.
Are also decreasing the 3 weeks for mains.
हाँ, no. So that is what I said. Ki he's asking that, sir, if one have not cleared the prelims 3 times or more, why he should not worry about the mains? See, here you simply bank on what is the experience. If somebody is not clearing prelims, most people, if you take 10 people, they are not clearing prelims not because first is they may not have studied as much. So now if you are doing SFG, you know the level of studies you have to do, not because you are seeing it for yourself, you are seeing how others are doing. इतना तो आपको समझ में आ गया होगा कि इतनी पढ़ाई का बेंचमार्क मिनिमम है, राइट? इसके ऊपर की खेल है, उसके ऊपर का खेल है, राइट? The other is that if you are not clearing prelims, then you have taken some decisions, and most of the time those decisions are that you've been studying for mains when the time is not right. It is a very common, see why we got very good results since day one is because we focused on these fundamental principles. We got very good results since day one. Even when we 100 students, we got very good result because we focused on fundamental principles. That is, prelims के पहले बुद्धि खराब नहीं करनी है. Prelims के पहले prelims का पढ़ना है. अगर वो नहीं करोगे तो prelims के बाद prelims का पढ़ना पड़ेगा. ठीक है? और ये गलती एवरी ईयर पीपल मेक. प्रीलिम्स के बाद आएंगे कि सर दिस ईयर प्रीलिम्स नहीं हुआ, अगले साल प्रीलिम्स में 150 नंबर लाना है मुझे, नथिंग लेस देन दैट. और फिर क्या करेंगे? आई हैव रिपीटेड इट मल्टीपल टाइम. जून से सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर वो प्रीलिम्स पढ़ेंगे. एवरी ईयर दे विल, आफ्टर नॉट क्लियरिंग प्रीलिम्स, व्हाट डू पीपल डू? दे विल टेक बदला विद प्रीलिम्स. जून टू अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दे विल स्टडी फॉर प्रीलिम्स. हु इज स्टडीइंग फॉर प्रीलिम्स दैट टाइम? ऑल द बोगस crowd who is not cleared. And what will happen is you will have false rank in the test series. You will get first rank. तुमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा, अरे भाई जिसका निकला है वो तो दे नहीं रहा है वो टेस्ट. उसके बाद क्या होगा? मेंस खत्म होगा एंड पीपल विल स्टार्ट स्टडिंग फॉर प्रीलिम्स. इस समय वो बच्चा क्या करेगा? अब मेरा प्रीलिम्स प्रिपेयर्ड है, रैंक मेरी टॉप में है. उसको ये नहीं पता कि द रियल क्राउड हैज नॉट रिटन दैट टेस्ट इन जुलाई. द रियल क्राउड इज प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर मेंस दैट टाइम, सो दे आर नॉट. एंड यू हैव टू compete with the mains appearing crowd, right? That's a huge number. Anywhere between 10 to 12,000 people who are qualifying for the prelims will be writing it next year. So you have to beat them anyhow. It's not that your competition is not with them. It is with them. And what will happen is when January will come, he will think, यार बहुत दिन से मेंस नहीं हाथ लगाया है. अब पॉलिटिशियन साइंस का टेस्ट सीरीज ज्वाइन करते हैं और अप्रैल महीने में कहेगा कि सर अब मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि पॉल साइंस का टेस्ट सीरीज लिखना बंद कर देता हूँ. लगता है कि प्रीलिम्स भी थोड़ा पढ़ लेना चाहिए. अब अप्रैल के बाद जब वो टेस्ट सीरीज में अपने डैशबोर्ड में ही लॉग इन, तो देखता है जहाँ पहले एक रैंक थी 200 लोगों में, अब उसकी रैंक हो गई है 201 इन 1100 स्टूडेंट्स, बिकॉज नाउ स्टूडेंट्स हैव स्टार्टेड राइटिंग दैट टेस्ट, राइट? अब उसको समझ नहीं है. नाउ ही इज लूजिंग, ही इज हैविंग कोल्ड फीट एंड यू हैव टू टेल योर सेल्फ दैट यू आर स्टडिंग, है ना? कुछ बच्चे, एक बच्चा ऐसे ही था, मैंने पिछली बार बोला एक क्लास में, मैंने देखा कि राजेंद्र नगर में ही इज वॉकिंग विथ मी एंड देन सडनली समबडी कॉल्ड and he suddenly entered a random house. मुझे लगा ये पीटेगा. Then he says, हाँ पापा. He picked up the phone. He says, where are you? I said, क्या हुआ? Then he came back. I said, why did you enter that house? Then the guy says, कि sir, actually my father had called. He said that I should be in my house. So when he called, he says, where are you? I said, घर पे हो? Then I said, हाँ घर में हूँ. अपने घर में नहीं हूँ. That I did not say. किसी के घर में तो था. राइट? सो देयरफॉर व्हाट यू टेल योरसेल्फ, तो आपको क्या करना है? 8 घंटे पढ़ना है. पेरेंट्स आर कॉलिंग, पढ़ रहे हो या नहीं? अब पता है कि वैवेल और माउंटबैटन तो हाथ से निकल चुका है. अब होना तो फिर से घने लगे हैं कि गांधी जी और अरिस्टोटल और टॉल्स्टॉय और वो चीज़ें पढ़ रहे हैं फिर. एंड देन व्हाट विल हैपन इज अगेन आफ्टर प्रीलिम्स व्हाट विल हैपन इज फिर वही खेल. प्रीलिम्स के बाद बोला जाता है मेंस के लिए पढ़ लो. दैट स्टूडेंट विल कम बैक एंड से कि सर पिछले बार तो गलती हो गई थी, इस बार तो और 150 पिछले बार नंबर टारगेट था, इस बार तो 200 नंबर का टारगेट लेके चल रहा हूँ. फिर वो अगले साल फिर. तो ये मिस्टेक नहीं करनी है बच्चे. डोंट बी सेड्यूस्ड बाय द मेन सिलेबस व्हेन यू हैव नॉट बीन एबल टू अपीयर फॉर द मेंस आफ्टर 3 अटेम्प्ट्स. आफ्टर 3 अटेम्प्ट्स, इवन इफ यू हैव अ सिनेरियो, कोई आपको ज्ञान दे देगा, अभी क्या होगा, बहुत लोग आपको ज्ञान दे देंगे, क्या देंगे कि प्रीलिम्स हो भी गया तो मेंस नहीं होगा, और इस बेसिस पे क्या कहेंगे, प्रीलिम्स ही डुबा लो। ठीक है, मतलब एक दो लोग मिल जाएंगे कि अभी मेंस का पढ़ लो, बिकॉज इवन इफ यू क्लियर प्रीलिम्स यू विल नॉट गेट। ऐसे बच्चों से, ऐसे बंदों से थोड़ा बच के रहना, उसी के कारण कोचिंग में भीड़ लगती है। ठीक है, वही बच्चे कोचिंग में बच्चों को, हाँ बोलो बच्चे। Yes, full length test is anything after March, बच्चे. From March, one more thing is there that please start writing your full length test from right now. उसका शुभ मुहूर्त का डेट जो है ना निकल चुका है, मतलब it has started. If you're looking for a auspicious day. And second is, please don't expect that before a full length test. If Sunday is a test, then Monday I'll study polity, second day I'll study economy, third day I'll study history. ऐसे करके 5 days I'll study and then I will top this full length test. Full length tests have to be solved by your long term understanding and memory. So if you are writing your SFG subject wise test also, if on Saturday you have simulator, you go and write simulator, you cannot prepare for it, I'm telling you. And why it is important is that, see, sometimes you don't score well, that is fine, but you pick up the right lesson na. If you are telling me after writing a simulator कि एक चीज पता चल गया कि पॉलिटी दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा, आई एम सेटिस्फाइड कि ये बच्चा क्लियर कर लेगा, बट वॉट इज हैपनिंग इज, वो कह रहा है सर आई एम नॉट राइटिंग द सिमुलेटर, व्हाई, बिकॉज अभी मेरा पॉलिटी नहीं हुआ है, आई एम नोइंग ही विल डिले इट टिल द पॉइंट दैट it is no longer possible. So please start writing. I'm telling you, that is why we do simulators in the month of March, not in January or something. We start properly in the month of March. March and April you should be sorted with. March, April, from the month of March and April May, by if you have not started full length by April, then you are missing the bus. You should start it by March and after April. Again, I'm not saying this to people who are clearing the prelims every year. They can have their own schedule. वो 15 days पढ़ेंगे, वो निकाल लेंगे, because it's, you have to clear prelims once properly. After that, you will clear it every year, बच्चे. If you have once, but that once you will have to clear it. You start writing the full length test and don't do it with the expectation that I will finish the whole syllabus and then I will write. Then again, what will happen is, अभी आपको मौका मिल गया कि 26 मई के बाद, अभी तैयारी कैसे हो रही थी कि 30 मई तक हो रही थी, राइट? कुछ बच्चों की यार 30th मई तक टाइम मिलता, तो अभी 16 जून हुआ है तो 30 जून मत कर देना, राइट? कि सर माय प्रिपरेशन, नो डोंट. सो फुल लेंथ टेस्ट यू मस्ट स्टार्ट राइटिंग, डोंट कॉम्प्रोमाइज. And remember, your schedule has to be very simple when you are tired, when you are not having a test, or even after this SFG. Very simple. You study, when you get tired, you solve 20-25 questions. Then you start studying a different subject, and when you are tired, you start solving questions. You may even solve the same questions and again by erasing it. ये नहीं कि वहीं से पेंसिल में B मार्क्ड है उसको दोबारा मार्क कर रहे हैं. Basic IQ, I'm expecting that you will be using. So you'll definitely, what you do, you solve the same papers again. There's a very good, I think her name I'm not forgetting, one very good student. So she said one thing, it's an old blog. She wrote that I had some 30 tests. I was able to solve 18 tests. And then I had a choice that with the last big time, I had a choice either to solve 12 more tests or to revise 18. And she said, I decided to revise my 18 tests. And she was, I think Kashish was her name. She's in Indian Foreign Service. Very brilliantly. Those are the kind of decisions that you need to make. मतलब अगर इतने टेस्ट सॉल्व करके नहीं हो रहा है तो और 5000 लगा लोगे टेस्ट, तो उससे नहीं होगा. ठीक है, गेम वो नहीं, मतलब कुछ अगेन एज रिपीट, कुछ और करने से नहीं होगा. जो कर रहे हो उसी में देखो ना कितना बेहतर से लोग कर रहे हैं, वो कर लोगे तो वो भी हो जाएगा, सारे हो जाएंगे. ऑल राइट, दैट इज ऑल. एनी लास्ट क्वेश्चन? चलो, यस, लास्ट क्वेश्चन, बोलो बच्चे. लास्ट अटेम्प्टर अगर हो तो अपने प्रीलिम्स को सिक्योर करो सो दैट यू आर एबल टू राइट मेंस. अलग नहीं करना है, वही मैं कह रहा हूं, अलग मेंस में करना है, अभी अलग नहीं करना है. देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम बीइंग अ पार्ट ऑफ अ क्राउड एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर अहेड इन द क्राउड. कोई आपको समझा देगा कि भीड़ का हिस्सा मत बनो, भीड़ में आगे रहो. समटाइम्स द पाथ लेस टेकन इज लेस टेकन फॉर अ रीजन. अगर लिखा है ना कि इधर नहीं जाना और तुमको लग रहा है कि कोई नहीं जा रहा, मैं ही जाऊंगा उधर, तो वहां चीता ट्रेल है ना. साल में 2 लोग जाते हैं चीता देखने, फिर आधे वापस आते हैं. कुछ जगह है ना, इन हरियाणा, इन गुड़गांव, वेयर आई लिव, देयर इज डू नॉट एंटर. तो पूछा मैंने कि क्यों है, तो बोला सर यहाँ चीता रहता है. मैंने कहा देखो, तो जितने टीनेजर है वो देख के डू नॉट एंटर जाएंगे, वो या तो कुछ जाली वाली काटा वाटा लगा देते, फॉरेस्ट डिपार्टमेंट डू नॉट एंटर, चीताज आर फाउंड हियर. अब मुझे पता है कि जितने टीनेजर होंगे वो वही देखने जाएंगे कि देख कर आते हैं चीता को क्या कर रहा है, राइट? Alright, chalo, wonderful interacting with all of you, and I wish you all the best and work very hard. You have come here with only one purpose, and that is to study. Do justice to the purpose for which you have come. And this is the time where you have to study at least 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours. This is the study if you are doing right now, you will be prepared for the mains. And that is, there cannot be any, now is not the time जब 3 घंटा, 4 घंटा, 5 घंटे की पढ़ाई हो रही है. This is the time you are in your 5th gear. You have to work your hardest. You have to study the hardest that you have ever had. There will be good days and bad. Once you have a bad day, it simply means the good days, you will have days where you have not studied. It is perfectly all right. It should be that when some of your time is wasted, the rest of the time simply has increased its value. That is all. All right. Thank you, class.